I always thought Friday the 13th was just a superstitious myth, but that was before the events that unfolded on that fateful night, a night that forever changed my perception of reality and plunged me into a horrifying nightmare. It started innocently enough. I was spending the weekend at my uncle's cabin deep in the heart of the woods. Nestled in a secluded area, the cabin was a perfect retreat from the chaos of the city. Little did I know that it would become the stage for a terrifying ordeal. Friday the 13th had always been a date that sent shivers down people's spines. It was said to be a day when the barrier between the living and the dead was thin, allowing malevolent forces to roam freely. I didn't pay much attention to such tales until that evening when the veil of skepticism was ripped away. As the night fell, an eerie silence settled over the cabin. I sat by the fireplace, listening to the crackling of the flames, trying to brush off the unease creeping up my spine. Suddenly, I heard a distant voice whispering my name. My heart skipped a beat, and I strained to listen. The whisper grew louder, becoming a haunting chant that echoed through the cabin. "Emily! Emily!" Fear gripped me as I realized I was alone in the cabin. I mustered the courage to respond, my voice trembling. "Who's there?" There was no reply, only an oppressive silence that hung in the air. Determined to dismiss the strange occurrences as my imagination, I headed to bed. But sleep proved elusive. Every creak, every rustle outside my window sent shivers down my spine. I pulled the covers tighter around me, desperately trying to ward off the feeling of being watched. Hours passed, and the clock struck midnight. Just as I began to drift into a fitful slumber, the cabin was plunged into darkness. The power had gone out. Panic surged through me as I fumbled for my phone, the only source of light in the pitch black room. I dialed my uncle's number, praying for a response, but the call wouldn't connect. Panic turned into sheer terror as I realized I was completely cut off from the outside world. I couldn't shake off the feeling that something sinister was lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. Footsteps echoed through the cabin, growing louder and more menacing with each passing moment. My heart pounded in my chest as I clutched a kitchen knife, my only defense against the unknown. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a figure standing in the threshold. A figure dressed in tattered clothes, its face concealed by a grotesque mask. I screamed, but my voice was drowned out by the sound of my own terror. The masked figure lunged at me, and a desperate struggle ensued. Adrenaline fueled my fight for survival as I stabbed at the figure with the knife. But no matter how many times I struck, it kept coming, relentless and unstoppable. In a final act of desperation, I managed to shove the figure away and make a mad dash for the door. With trembling hands, I fumbled for the keys and swung the door open. The moonlit forest greeted me, offering a slim glimmer of hope. I sprinted into the night, the chilling wind biting at my skin. As I emerged from the woods, I stumbled upon a nearby road. A passing car screeched to a halt, and a kind stranger offered me a ride to safety. I collapsed into the seat, tears streaming down my face, grateful to be alive. That night forever changed me. The horrors I experienced on that Friday the 13th will haunt me for the rest of my days. I learned that some superstitions hold a grain of truth, that darkness can manifest in the most unexpected ways. And now, whenever the calendar marks Friday the 13th, I can't help but shudder, for I know that evil roams the world on those unhallowed nights.